Hello and welcome to the United Stand, latest Manchester United transfer news. If there is one certainty when it comes to this January, Manchester United will be making signings. And if there's one position where I guarantee you we will be making a signing, it is centre-back. But the fact is, nobody's really got much of an idea who it would be. And if you are a connoisseur of European football, or even worldwide football to that matter, then there actually is quite a few candidates. However, we feel that we've drilled it down to 4, and one of those, which I would actually be, as I'll get into in a minute, ecstatic with. There's 4 that we think that we'll go for. Doesn't mean we're going to get it right. Doesn't mean we're going to get it right. I mean, there's a couple of names that are stronger linked than others. But let's not forget, Eric Bailly was the one signing that no outlet had any hint or idea about until we made it in the summer. Mkhitaryan and Pogba and Zlatan, a few of us were told and heard about it through people, but Bailly was left of field. So let's get into it without further ado. I think the first one I want to talk about is probably the one that I would like, and I think it's a strong candidate. It's Jose Gimenez, I say, could be Gimenez, Atletico Madrid centre-back. Now, burst on the scene, well, last season he was a revelation with Godin as a centre-back, but this season he has hardly played for Atletico Madrid. People are saying, oh, you can't do that deal, and it sort of fits in against a lot of what I would think normally, that we're not going to get someone from Atletico Madrid because they're in the Champions League, they're going for the title. Why come to United, not in the Champions League, not going for the title? However, he's fallen out of favour massively with Diego Simeone. I think he's only played 2 La Liga games so far, and considering we're near Christmas, and he was pretty much an ever-present last year, but he's now been replaced. There's worries about his temperament. He's only 21. Style of play, I think he's just over 6 foot. Like I said, 21, Uruguayan. He's just a battler. He's an absolute battler. He's good in the air. He's fast. He's good at tackling. And to be honest, most of these players I'm about to talk about are like that. And I think the one thing United miss, and if you've been watching the United Stand or the watch-alongs, and we've spoken about this time and time again, what we miss is a Vidic type defender. Now, Vidic is one of the best centre-backs in the world, so I'm not saying we need a like for like, but what we do need, and this is why I like Manolas, and Manolas isn't on the list, by the way, I'd be amazed if we can do that deal. Aerial duels. We are crap on crosses, we are crap on corners, and we are crap at attacking corners as well. We need a centre-back who is a threat, as much of a threat in our box as he is in the opposition's. But more importantly, we need a centre-back like Vidic who will just go and attack a cross. He doesn't care who he's marking, he'll go and win that cross. And Gimenez, or whatever you want to call him, he does fit into that category. His contract is up with Atletico Madrid in 18 months. He's out of favour, and there are strong rumours that we could do a deal in January. If we can do a deal for this lad, I think it might be tougher than the ones I'm about to talk about, but if we can do it, I'll be ecstatic because he's young and he fits the bill. Jason Braithwaite says we can do any deal at any price we want. I disagree in January. I think in the summer we can do any deal, but we're not going to get Griezmann in January because there are certain players you can't get in January because of where their season is, and if they're in the Champions League, why come to United? You wouldn't. It's not going to happen. But Gimenez could happen because he's out of favour with Atletico Madrid. Next one to talk about, Virgil van Dijk. We did talk about him a couple of weeks. We're going to do more and more transfer shows because I love the transfer stuff, and we are getting closer to January. So he's 25, he's Premier League proven, so he ticks a couple of boxes straight away. He's strong and he's good. He's fairly good in the air. He's quite quick. I think he ticks a lot of boxes. I've sort of gone off him a little bit because I've realised that what other players there are out there, and I think I would prefer them over Van Dijk. I'm not convinced Van Dijk can step up and be a top title-winning standard centre-back. I'm not convinced. And certainly Fonte isn't. So if that's what we're thinking, I'm worried. But I wouldn't be opposed to us getting Van Dijk, but I know Liverpool are in for him, and I think the prices are starting at 30 million. For me, we can get a better standard of centre-back than Van Dijk. I wouldn't be disappointed. I just don't know whether he actually is top quality centre-back. And I think, going back to the lad before, the Atletico Madrid lad, he's 21 and he's got room to grow. And I think Mourinho, the one thing I want to say about Mourinho is he's done it with Rojo, he's done it with Phil Jones, he's done it all his career. He's very good at highlighting young centre-backs or any centre-back and teaching them how to defend. He's done it with Rojo. And he's done it with Bailly. Where did he come from, like I said? So Van Dijk, for me, I wouldn't be disappointed about. But if you're asking me out of him and Gimenez, I would prefer the Atletico Madrid lad because he's got more to grow. Olin Belake says, what about Varane? Varane's not going to leave Real Madrid in January. We're talking January. Maybe in the summer, but not in January. And Davo K says we need an experienced centre-back. none of these really are. Van Dijk will be the most experienced one at 25, but is he experienced of top level defending? Not really, not at Southampton. Right, third option, and he is the one that has been mentioned quite a lot, Victor Lindelof. 22 years of age, only just, Swedish, playing for Benfica at the moment. Centre-back, although he can play right-back and defensive midfield. I actually had an email the other day from a Swedish person who watches this show and said that Lindelof is not United quality. I think he said a lot of people are going over the board on him. He's a decent player. He could play well for someone like Southampton, but he's not top 4 quality. And, I don't know enough about him to know that. I mean, the Portuguese league isn't a fantastic league. The better teams do quite well in Europe, but then it's not a competitive league, and it's a big step up for him. For me, I would take Van Dijk and Gimenez over him, as much as I think it, and what was some of the prices being quoted are 30 million north of that. So, not for me. He'd be the one out of these 4 that I would put in 4th place, and I've discussed him on the show we did last night. The 4th option, Benedikt Howedes at Schalke. Now, a lot of people have mentioned him. A lot of you lot have mentioned him. He gets consistently mentioned. Now, he is an experienced centre-back. He's 28 years of age. He's got quite a few international caps. Very good at Schalke. And his big strength, again, 6'2", is competitiveness. If you look up at Howedes and you do a bit of research on him, the one thing that he stands out about is in one-on-one situations, whether it's in the ball in the air or it's on the ground, he tends to come out on top in whatever duel he's having, which is exactly what you need in the Premier League. And I like the fact that, aerial duels fit on the ground, but more aerial duels, so he does fit the thing. Schalke, obviously not a massive club in Germany. I mean, they're okay, but they're not one of the big ones. So again, it's a January deal that we could do. Unfortunately, I'd like Howedes because of his experience, and he ticks all those Vidic boxes that we want. I mean, he's not as good as Vidic, but he's a good experienced defender to bring in who is all action. He can play anywhere along the back 4. We're not massively linked to him though, and that's the problem with him. The previous 3, we are actually linked to them. Howedes, I think he's just a name that a lot of us know about and a lot of us mention, but I don't think we're really in for him, which is a shame because I think actually he would be good. But what I would say about all of those, and I'm sure you lot will agree with this, Sporting Film in Stand, 28, he could be good in his peak. He ticks a lot of the boxes. But there's quite a few other different centre-backs that I haven't even mentioned. Socrates, Koulibaly, obviously, Manolas. I think he's very left field. We won't do that. There's another centre-back at Roma called Rudiger. So there's quite a few centre-backs out there. We need a centre-back, and actually it's quite good for United because there are a lot of centre-backs out there. And one thing, I disagree, and I said this the other night as well. Mourinho's not made any bad signings at United. People are saying, he spent £150 million and you're miles off top 4. Well, we're miles off top 4, yeah, I agree, but that's not necessarily down to flop signings. I mean, I suppose Zlatan's culpable because he's missed a few chances, but he's also scored a few goals. Manchester United are nowhere near top 4 because of the wider picture, which is the poor buys we've made over the last 3 years, and the squad isn't as good as it needs to be. So, and especially when it comes to centre-backs, I do trust Mourinho. So I'm excited by it, and that's why I've done this show tonight, sort of a little gap video between the preview for the Everton game and the actual Everton game on a Saturday night. But I am interested, and it's the one player that we will sign for sure in January. I think we'll sign others, but we're definitely going to sign a centre-back. So if I've missed anybody, do get commenting below. Darcy Sweeney makes a good point of Twansibi being better, and somebody just said he's better than Gimenez, and he may well be, but we're not going to play Twansibi this season, which is a big shame. We really should have done, but we're not going to use him. So that's that. We'll clearly be signing somebody, and out of those 4, for me, it would be Gimenez or it would be Howedes. They're the 2 I would go for. One's very experienced, one's 21, but he's been very good at Atletico Madrid. He's just fallen out of favour there. The schooling of Simeone and then Mourinho getting hold of him, I think he could be a revelation. And at 21 as well, he could be here for the next 7-8 years. So, that's the one I want to do. And we're starting to hear that maybe that could be done. I think it'd be a hell of a deal to pull off. I hope we don't just go with Lindelof. I think out of the 4 I've mentioned today, he's the one I wouldn't want to go for. I think he's a big gamble. But then again, if Mourinho goes for him, you've got to trust it because he normally gets it right with centre-backs. Rise Jacob says, what about Seamus Coleman? Yeah, I'd love Seamus Coleman to sign, but actually, you know what Valencia's been like the last few weeks? Should we be going to buy a right-back? I mean, if Mourinho thinks we should, I'll back him for it. But Valencia's been a revelation, hasn't he? It's sort of maybe is that, maybe not. S. Pelled said Howedes would be great. I don't think he wants to leave Germany though. And I would love Thiago Silva, but that wouldn't happen, says Arid. A bit old, and it won't happen anyway. Howedes would be better, said HSC MUFC, because it won't disrupt the progression of Twansibi in the next couple of years. We need a world-class DM playmaker, says Red Prepper. We might have to wait for some of that, because I think top four might be gone. Join us for the watch along tomorrow, 3 o'clock live with the team news for Everton. I think top four's gone. I mean, it just highlights it today. You know, we were at home to West Ham and we dropped 2 points. Arsenal played them away and beat them 5-1, and that's the story of our season. We should have beaten Arsenal. We should have beaten West Ham. We've taken 2 points for that, and then Arsenal go and whip West Ham 5-1. It's just typical of our league season. I think we're going to have to focus on the cups. More importantly, the Europa League. Try and get in the Champions League, and then make some decent signings in the summer. Kurt Zuma says Dipan, good signing. We won't make it though. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've enjoyed the transfer show. We're going to do more of these as we build up, probably in this studio. So drop us a like if you like it. Draughty Devils Studio, and we are going to do more transfer stuff. It's just fitting it in. And for those who are expecting a FIFA video tonight, I was going to do one. If you've been watching the United stand, you know I've had a difficult week. My head's just not there. I was going to do it. I apologise. I will do it at some point. My head's just not really there to be playing that sort of thing at the moment. But 3 o'clock tomorrow, or whatever day you're watching it, it's Sunday at 3 o'clock for the watch along. Join us for that. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you very soon. And transfer stuff is flying towards us, and I'm getting very excited about it. For me, Howard